Hi there, that's right, great and glorious, soon to be famous one day, Nick Dutch, back on the camera again one more time. Some people hate me doing that introduction, some people don't, but the bottom line is whatever I feel like saying on this YouTube channel is basically what I'm going to say, because heck, I'm Nick Dutch and I will say what I see fit, because this is about me giving you my views. I'm not here to parrot out somebody else's views, alright? So essentially even my performance style, because this is a performance art, if you get my drift, this is YouTube, there's a performance art aspect to it, is going to be the way that I see fit at the time to be able to portray my message or whatever message it is that I want to do. But I am also doing this with a touch of audience participation. I've been doing a series recently, I'm sure you've been noticing it if you've been following my videos. If you haven't and you want to do an ownership video of this, and part of what you want to do is say, yeah, well, I didn't know that. Well, that's up to you and that's your issue. If you have been watching my videos, you know I've been dealing with requests from the audience. Sometimes through private messages, sometimes through comments, all kinds of little stuff and ways in which I've been picking up what people are interested in me talking about. And one of the particular requests was about Amway. I know it's a 5-letter word, but for many people it's a 4-letter word, and it is for me as well. The question that I was given was, do you think that Amway is a cult or something along those lines? Those were my own words, not the original words of the message on my channel. The short answer there would be that's where there's a bit of a blurring, isn't there? Okay, you can say Amway has a cult following, yes, but is Amway actually a cult? Well, there is a belief structure, there's a structure of key buzzwords that they use, there's certain books that they refer to, the information is spread in a certain way. I would say this is much more of an information industry, or a misinformation or disinformation industry, to be quite frank. Amway, as I'm sure you know, is a network marketing business which I have had the great displeasure to have been associated with when I was in my late teens, early 20s, I think it was. I can't remember. It was a long time ago now, and doctor says I'm getting better. Alright, that stuff is behind me, so let's not worry too much about that. Essentially, there is a variety of cult structure there, because there's the high up high priests, or those who've got like the emerald or gold or diamond or whatever it is, badge or pin badge they've got, signifying they've reached a certain sales volume and number of people underneath them and all the rest of that, because it's basically a form of legalized pyramid selling. One thing I will quickly point out is there was an article which I saw a little while ago, a certain number of years ago, that said there was a time when Amway actually stopped recruiting new people. Okay, because they sell on the basis of, you carry on getting more people underneath you, and then basically you can make a lot of money. Okay, but there was a time when, Amway actually stopped telling people to go out and get more people on board because they had too many numbers. Alright, so be aware of that. Same with all forms of network marketing. They have their heydays, their ups, their downs, and it could affect anybody if you wanted to get involved in that. But this actually brings me on to another thing. How does information flow around society and flow around the internet and the outer world? Okay, because that's what this is really about. Amway's been designed very cleverly. The whole ideas, the books, the tapes, or CDs probably these days, the functions, your line of sponsorship going all the way up to whoever it is at the top. It's all been designed to try and keep people in line. It's been designed to try and encourage people to think in certain ways. So there is a sense of there being a mental reprogramming. And it's done via the carrot of there being lots of money, and also the stick of there being your upline sponsor who has the right to motivate you or discipline you or whatever it is, to try and, as it were, teach you things, namely to keep yourself within a certain line of doing things, under the guise, of course, that they're providing advice. I mean, I was thinking of actually, when I was doing Amway, getting myself involved with other forms of network marketing businesses as well, and trying to build myself up as being a one-stop shop for anyone who's interested in the various products and services that these things sold. This was heavily frowned upon by my, in inverted commas, upline sponsor. So essentially, there's issues with the advice that they give, because the advice that they give is supposed to be good for them and not necessarily good for you if you've got a better way of doing things, or a different way of doing things that contradicts their model. I have actually, during the time when I was trying Amway, spoken to another individual who was doing the the whole system in a way in which the upline sponsor disapproved of, and was doing a lot better out of it than a lot of other people. So essentially, there's issues with the advice which is given, but isn't that also the case within religions, when people are trying to control you to make you into a certain type of individual, or trying to influence your behavior so that you can become part of the crowd, and also to sell the ideas of the faith in a certain particular way? Isn't that also true within the political parties here in the UK and also the USA? There's newsletters which go out which are encouraged to read. There's PR and information going through all the time, which they encourage you to read so that you can find out more about the way in which you should be thinking, the things you should be hating, or the interpretations or spin on various ideas you should be taking on board. Isn't that also the same with pop groups, and the fact they've got their own fan pages and all the rest of that to try and keep the fans loyal so that the artists can basically make more money? Isn't that also true of the music industry? It says no, you shouldn't use file sharing software to get your music, because that takes money out of the artists, and that's naughty. The artists themselves are living in massive mansions out somewhere, okay? They're not short of an extra 99 cents or £1.50 or whatever it is you spend when you're buying a track online. So there's information itself has a cult aspect. There are even information businesses. Alex Jones is a very well designed information business. I hope you're watching this, Skid Row Radio, okay? Because what he's doing is he's using emotion, he's using spin, and he's using an addiction which he's building up based upon the videos and information he gives out free of charge to try and get people to start buying, okay? And he also very cleverly sells other subject relevance products, like those, Blue Cool or Cool Blue water coolers that extract water from the air at great expense, I must say. And of course he gets his cut from that, and even has interviewed at one time the person who runs that particular company on one of his shows. And of course he's using the modern media, and of course the move towards right-wing thinking, which is currently out there because of the economic decline, to try and help promote his ideas. So he's a very clever information related business. I think the same is true of Amway. I think the same is true of certain forms of churches out there. I feel the same is true of Wicca, paganism. I think the same thing is true of lots of New Age writers and thinkers, possibly even myself, okay? So I'm not saying the method itself is necessarily bad, because then I'd be totally hypocritical. But I would say that the fact it can be insidious and can dissuade you from intelligent thought, or indeed rational thought, can in fact be pretty negative. Depends upon the individuals, how they're doing it, and so on and so forth. So, is Amway a cult? Amway is an information business which has some cult-like aspects, because uniformity is strongly encouraged. And uniformity essentially means you've got to do as you're told and think as you're told, which I personally think is inappropriate. It stops freedom of thought, disagreement, and intellectual strength. But of course, freedom of thought doesn't just mean that you should believe everything that you think. That's all for now.